Welcome back. We're just continuing where we left off in the human origin. Um, I literally didn't do anything. It's just that loading screen that you saw, it was us going to bed. So now we're waking up in the middle of the night. We hear a ruckus, and the dog is agitated. Things are dire indeed. What's wrong, boys? Is someone out there? Even though it should be obvious, he should have heard the noises too.
My lord! Help me! The castle is under attack!
There we go. As we were warned, now we're butt naked and we have to fight off some guards. Fantastic. Now for quick, what we can do is actually equip a couple things that we had in our backpack here. I have mostly dexterity, but I'm gonna go ahead and keep the mace on there for now. Then we'll quickly throw on some gear. I'm cheating a little bit. I mean, realistically, he shouldn't be able to throw on any gear while there's an attack on the room.
Get off!
But it happened, so. Now, because there's an attack, we're obviously very worried for our family. And we're not exactly sure what has been going on. It's all very concerning. Because our entire family is here. Our brother's wife and our brother's kid, our nephew, they're both here. And mother is here somewhere.
Where is the tear? Tell us! Don't give them the advantage!
Oh dear.
Darling,
There we go.
I heard fighting outside and I feared the worst. Are you hurt?
I was about to ask you that.
They never got through the door, thanks to you. A scream woke me up. There were men in the hall, so I barred the door. Did you see their shields? Those are Howl's men. Why would they attack us?
I don't know, Mother, but we need to get out of here.
Have you seen your father? He never came to bed.
No, I haven't. I was in my room.
We must find him.
I agree. Sounds like the battle's downstairs.
We must fight our way to him. Your father needs us both. I am no Orlesian wallflower. Give me a sword and I'll use it. Now let's go.
See, now, what I should have said is probably that we should go check on our brother's wife and his son. Doing the level up stuff at this point doesn't really make a huge difference just because we're not going to be sticking through this for very long anyway. But there's no harm in it either, so I'm just going to go ahead and add an ability or two here. It'll just make the fighting a little easier. Okay, so let's check out Mother's
Perhaps we can
room.
salvage some things here, darling. Some of
Exactly.
your father's belongings are in that trunk.
As you say.
So here's what she was referring to. A bunch of gear there. So if you're worried about
We
not
must go
having
downstairs
gear,
and find out what's happening.
that is gear there. Now, Mother actually doesn't have any equipment equipped, so we're going to give her something. Now, because she's Mother Dearest, we want her to stay out of the thick of combat, so we're going to give her a bow. Now, when you're using a bow, it automatically puts this arrow slot there, and that's just so you can shoot the bow without actually having any arrows in your arrow slot, which is super useful. Now, I've heard other people talk about them not having this for some reason, so I'm thinking that this must be something that they added in along with the DLC content. Perhaps. I could be mistaken on that. It's worth checking out. If you have the DLC, you shouldn't need to worry about it regardless. And I, of course, do have the DLC, so there we go. She can use a bow, and she doesn't necessarily need to equip the arrows. The arrows are just for bonus damage. There they are.
No! My little Oren! What manner of fiend slaughters innocents?
Why would they do this?
Oh, he's not even taking hostages. He means to kill all of us. Oh, poor Fergus. Let's go, I don't want to see this.
So I like her acting there, and that's something that is actually consistent in this entire game. The voice acting is pretty good. Much better than I'm capable of doing, for certain. Maybe if I practiced, I could be better than I am. But for now, no.
Very well. As you say, I shall do it. It has begun. It shall be done. Very well. No! Watch out! Careful!
Flawless victory. Now we can open these doors. They're unlocked.
Oh, dear Landra. I'm so sorry.
So Landra was that
If she hadn't come to me.
that older
If
lady
she hadn't been here.
that we talked with earlier. Now we might be able to actually find that younger girl that we were flirting with that was with Landra. I don't remember if you can find her body anywhere near here. We might not. So, yeah.
Can you hear the fighting? Hal's men must be everywhere.
So Hal is quite the treacherous fiend, as you're able to notice. I don't want you in danger, Mother.
My only grandchild is a ravaged corpse. What do I care about danger? The front gates. That's where your father must be.
See, she has a point there. A very good point. The family's under attack. As far as we know, everybody we love and care about is dead except for our brother. And unfortunately, our brother doesn't even know this is happening. So his wife and son were both murdered outside of his presence, and he can't do anything about it. He's going to be devastated when he finds out. Is there anything else we can do?
I have my treasury key. We could go there first and take the Kuslan sword from the vault. If anything is worth fighting to keep out of Hal's hands, it's that sword.
So,
but it may be a dangerous path.
What she's referring to there is the big door that we were unable to unlock. It was the first locked door that we were unable to unlock. That was guarded by the two guardsmen that were playing cards. So, yeah, that's where it is. Let's go then.
If Hal's men are inside, they must already control the castle. We must use the servants' entry in the larder to escape. Do you hear me?
I hear you.
Then let us be swift.
Now, this is another corpse. A knight, fully armed too. He must have been on his break and then they just like ambushed him. Someone was playing chess.
The castle has fallen! I'm getting out of here!
See, now, we don't actually have the persuade option, so we could try, but he won't accept it, because we don't have the skill. Wait, what's happening?
Ah! Here they come! They're right behind me!
And unfortunately, he doesn't get to say anything else. Oh my goodness. Okay, there we go.
It has begun.
You did well, my dear.
some fighting going on over there. Let's go check this fighting out. One thing to keep an eye out for is when you're fighting dogs, they can actually tackle you down. Most animals in general in this game can tackle you, and when they tackle you, it does a lot of damage and it immobilizes you at the same time. Your dog will be able to do that as well if you level it up enough.
No quarter shall be given.
All right.
Very well.
So, because Hao is doing this to your family, when you actually encounter him later in the game and kill him, it is extremely rewarding because you're finally getting that vengeance. So it brings a whole new context, a layer of context to that battle in Denerim at the end of the game, and it's very rewarding. I would say it's not quite as rewarding as a couple of the other origin story playthroughs.
And I shall do the same to
But
Hao when I see him.
it's definitely up there, which was a good choice for the human playthrough. It also, in contrast to the City Elf playthrough, you actually get to see like what it's like living as a human versus the City Elves. And as you'll notice when we actually do the City Elf playthrough, it is significantly different and not in a good way. The elves definitely got the dirty end of the stick there. So we have some guards helping us out. The place we actually wanted to go is down there, but we want to go get that family sword. Now, we don't actually have to, but we're going to.
We're getting close to the treasury. The Kuzlan family blade lies inside. Use that key I gave you. That blade cannot fall into Hao's hands.
It shall be done.
So this is actually an example of something that you need strength to use, this sword, once we get it. It should be in here somewhere.
As you say.
Right here we go. See, look at that. Oh, I was mistaken. Normally, swords require a certain amount of strength, but I guess because it knows you can be either a rogue or a warrior, it allows both to be able to use it. So for that purpose, we're definitely going to put that sword on, because that is just a huge advantage, and it increases our damage by quite a bit.
We must not exhaust our supplies. Bring it on! Our skill has won the day.
Outside of coming back here and outside of like killing Hao again, one of the things at the end of the game that changes with the humans is the final resolution. When you finally confront Teyrn Loghain. I guess it's not quite the final resolution because you still have to fight the Archdemon after that, but when you finally confront Teyrn Loghain for his betrayal of the Grey Wardens and fleeing the battle and basically saving half the army from the Darkspawn threat. During that scenario, as a human male, you have the option that if you play your cards right, you'll be able to, because of your lineage, because with the Kuzlins, you'll be able to take the throne for yourself. So you can actually become king, provided that you take Queen Honora as your wife. Now, likewise, you'll actually be able to become queen if you play as the female Kuzlin, but that is under the condition that your king is Alistair. Now, because of that, this is obviously big spoilers into Alistair's character as well, because since when does Alistair have the right? Well, he's actually King Kaelin's brother, so that's why he has a claim to the throne, and why, if you are the female version, you can become queen by marrying Alistair. Now, also, as the human female, you also have the option to be Alistair's consort with Honora as his queen, which is interesting. That basically means that you and Alistair have a little bit of a romance thing going on outside of his marriage. Now, in order to achieve that, you have to corrupt Alistair's personality a bit, which is quite possible, but it requires a lot of friendship on Alistair's part, and you have to pick the correct choices when you're going through his personal quests. In particular, when you're going through a personal quest that involves what he thinks is his sister. Now, in later games, you actually find out that who he thinks is his sister in this game is in fact not his sister. It's just some random lady who for some reason thinks that she has a connection to Alistair, and Alistair thinks that he has a connection to her. So yeah, you can learn about more of that by reading the supplemental material, but it's not super important, so I'm not even going to bother getting into it, and it's not relevant to the games. And for the games, you do find out that she's not his sister anyway, though. It's just like a side throwaway comment, though, and that can come up in future games. So let's see what's going on in here. There's a big battle going on. And there's Sir Garland, Gilmore, whatever. See, if I was playing on hard or difficult, I would have died in this fight already. You have to play a lot more strategically when you're playing on the higher difficulties.
As long as you can. Your ladyship, my lord, you're both alive. I was certain Hal's men had gotten through.
They did get through.
They killed Oriana and Oren. I can't believe. Are you injured?
Don't worry about me, your ladyship. Thank the Maker you two are unharmed. When I realized what was happening, it was all I could do to shut the gates. But they won't keep Hal's men out long. If you've another way out of the castle, use it quickly.
We need to find Father.
When I last saw the Turn, he'd been badly wounded. I urged him not to go, but he was determined to find you. He went towards the kitchen. I believe he thought to find you at the servants' exit in the larder.
Bless you, Sir Gilmore. Maker watch over you.
Maker watch over us all.
So unfortunately, Sir Gilmore there does not make it out of this alive. He's basically sacrificing himself to save us. And it is partially his job because of it, he is the family's head of guard, essentially. So yeah, it's definitely part of his job. It's just super unfortunate that this had to happen, especially right in the midst of him potentially being able to become a Grey Warden. Because if he would have made it out of this, He could have definitely joined the Grey Wardens, assuming he survived the joining. So, Hal has a lot of blood on his hands, and it's only going to get worse from here, as we'll soon find out. Alright, what's the situation, soldier? Nothing? Okay.
We must get out! They're slaughtering everyone!
We must get out! They're slaughtering everyone!
Yeah, flee. Flee. Run. They ran. They're gone. They went that way, which... okay, whatever. Maybe they have like a secret cubby hole. Okay, so these servants in here were super lucky that I opened the door when I did. It distracted the guards from killing them, it looks like. Because, yeah, it looked like they were sleeping in their beds, and these house soldiers had entered the room quietly and were about to kill them, and then we burst open the door and woke everybody up and distracted them. So we actually saved a few lives by entering these doors. Well, presumably, assuming the servants could actually get out of the castle. Now, there's no guarantee they could get out of the castle before being killed, so they still might actually be dead. But it's nice to think that maybe someone got out of this, right?
We will not be defeated!
No quarter shall be given.
There we go, big fight there. This Hound Knight sometimes drops better stuff than he did there. Anything in the kitchen? More bodies. Not all the servants got out of here, obviously. I believe those are both servants. Yeah, those are the servants. But Nan's body isn't here. There's father. Bleeding out. A lot of blood on the floor.
There, you both are. I was
Bryce!
wondering when you would get here.
Maker's blood, what's happening? You're bleeding!
Hal's men found me first.
Understatement of the year.
Almost did me in right there.
Why is Hao doing this?
He can't get away with this. The king will...
Bryce, we must get you out of here.
See,
I won't survive the standing, I think.
normally, what he said there would be absolutely correct. Hao would not get away with this. And this is part of the reason that, me personally, I'm convinced that Logain and Hao were actually plotting to kill the king the entire time. Because otherwise, why would Hao take the risk in killing this entire family? Because if the king survives the battle at Ostagar, there's absolutely no chance that he gets away with this. And I like, unless Hao somehow thought that maybe he'd sneak into the battle and kill the king himself, which doesn't make sense because we don't even see Hao at the battle. And if you played the game further, you know that, like, while everything was happening in Ostagar, Hao was present in Denerim controlling things, and after killing this entire family, he basically assumes their property and assumes their position and takes dominance over the entire city. And shortly after the battle, he is appointed to become the Arl of the entire city. So instead of just being the Arl of his own little place, he is now the Arl of Denerim, which is a huge upgrade for Hao. Like, he's just moving up in the world, and you can actually comment on that later when you finally come face to face to him, before the final confrontation where you get to kill him, and that too is satisfactory. But it's a difficult conversation because you know like what he's done and how he got his position and all the devious things, and because you know like what Hal is, it paints Logain as quite the crooked individual. And with that as context, it's hard to imagine that all of this wasn't planned from the beginning. Like, yes, it is fact that there was a lot of Darkspawn, and yeah, maybe Logain might have lost, and obviously there was enough Darkspawn there that many of his own men going through the Battle of Ostagar, they were under the impression that if they went into battle, they would have died too, and that Logain was doing the right thing. But you have to also keep in mind that fear can do extraordinary things to the human mind. So like these people, they're seeing monsters flying out of the forest at their king, and they're seeing the king fighting this overwhelming threat from up on a vantage point on a hillside. And of course, it looks like the Darkspawn vastly outnumber the King's army, because they do. Because most of the King's army is with Logain up on the hill. Now, it could actually be that Logain could have saved the king and prevailed in that, at least that victory. And the reason for that is because the archdemon has not made an appearance at that point yet, and the bulk of the horde, the bulk of the Darkspawn horde, as we find out later, when we enter Orzammar and go underground, is that the archdemon and the bulk of the horde are still underground, like even halfway through the game. So like it's basically amassing the army, and those Darkspawn that are on the surface, those are just like the vanguard of the force. They're just the vanguard, and it's still a sizable amount, but it's not all of them. And I am 100% convinced that Logain, he would have stood a good chance if he would have followed through with the plan and went down. And you can kind of see that when his commander is shocked by what the Terran says. Like when the Terran says, sound the retreat instead of let's charge, she is genuinely shocked, but she is forcing herself to believe that her hero, Logain, would not betray the king, because she sees him as this vastly honorable man, and she's looked up to him for basically all her life. So it's hard for her to even consider the idea that Logain is doing this for malicious reasons. Likewise, that's the same perspective of a lot of the people in the army, and a lot of the people in the army did not have the same vantage point as the general, and even the general was able to be swayed just by Logain saying those words and his conviction with which he said it. So yeah, I'm 100% not convinced that Logain was completely innocent, or even maybe he was partially innocent in some ways. Like he didn't anticipate that the Darkspawn horde would actually be that much of a threat, as much as it turned out to be. Like that much I am assured of, because like he doesn't trust the Grey Wardens at all, and the entire time they're in Ostagar, he is constantly fighting King Kaelin's decisions. Now, King Kaelin was being an absolute fool anyway, so like Logain did have some points, but it doesn't, like, just because Logain had some good statements and had the right of a few things does not mean that he was in the right for leaving the king and abandoning the king's forces at Ostagar. So yeah, again, the context of Hal and what happens at this estate and the slaughter of the Kuzlans is just, it's extremely damning, not only for Hal, but also for Taron Logain. That's not true, you'll be fine.
My boy.
If only Will can make it so.
Once Howe's men break through the gate, they will find us. We must go.
Someone must reach Fergus. Tell him what has happened.
And take vengeance.
Yes. Vengeance.
Bryce, no. The servant's passage is right here. We can flee together, find you healing magic.
The castle is surrounded. I cannot make it.
I'm afraid the Turn is correct. Howe's men have not yet discovered this exit, but they surround the castle. Getting past will be difficult.
You are Duncan, then? The Grey Warden?
Yes, your ladyship. The Turn and I tried to reach you sooner.
My youngest son helped me get here. Make her be praised.
I am not surprised.
Are you going to help us, Duncan?
Whatever is to be done now, it must be quick. They are coming.
Duncan, you are under no obligation to me, but I beg you, take my wife and son to safety.
I will, your lordship, but I fear I must ask for something in return.
Anything.
What is happening here pales in comparison to the evil now loose in this world. I came to your castle seeking a recruit. The Darkspawn threat demands that I leave with one.
I understand.
So, initially Sir Gilmore was going to be that. So we can ask about that right here. What about Sir Gilmore?
Truthfully, you were always my first choice. I will take the Tyrna and your son to Ostagar to tell Fergus and the king what happened. Then, your son joins the Grey Wardens.
So long as justice comes to Howe. I agree.
Then I offer you a place within the Grey Wardens. Fight with us.
My duty is to take vengeance on Earl Howe.
We will inform the king, and he will punish Howe. I am sorry, but a Grey Warden's duties take precedence even over vengeance.
Howe thinks he'll use the chaos to advance himself. Make him wrong, pup. See that justice is done. Our family always does our duty first. The Darkspawn must be defeated. You must go. For your own sake and for Ferelden's.
I will, Father, for you.
We must leave quickly then.
Bryce, are you sure?
Our son will not die of Howe's treachery. He will live and make his mark on the world.
Darling, go with Duncan. You have a better chance to escape without me.
Eleanor.
Hush, Bryce. I'll kill every bastard that comes through that door to buy them time. But I won't abandon you.
Mother, are you sure you want to do this?
My place is with your father. At his side to death and beyond.
I'm so sorry it's come to this, my love.
We had a good life and did all we could. It's up to our children now.
Then go, pup. Warn your brother. Know that we love you both. You do us proud.
They've broken through the gates. We must go now.
Goodbye, darling.
So yeah, that's a powerful scene. Very powerful. I'm actually turning down the volume here just because I want to speak over all this. Actually, that might not actually affect the recording. Well, regardless, I'm going to talk about another thing that happens.
We will be traveling south through the hinterlands to the ruin of Ostagar, on the edges of the
I suppose
Korkari
I'll pause
Wilds.
just
The Tevinter
in
Imperium
case.
built Ostagar long ago to prevent
Actually, I
the
can just exit out of this and skip the
No need,
because
Duncan.
you've already seen
You
all
are
this.
Bryce's youngest, are
As
you
soon
not?
as he stops talking,
I don't think we've ever
then
actually
I
met.
can talk. Okay, so you don't need to see anything that skipped there because it's the same stuff that happened with the mage playthrough in my Let's Play series. So, but what I want to talk about are the companionship options with other characters in your group, for the male and the female humans. Now this is only if you are a rogue or a warrior and you started what we just went through, the human noble. If you are a mage, it's the exact same opening as all the other mages, right? So the human or the rogue, I mean the warrior or the rogue human noble. So when you start as that particular version, you have the option, if you are a male character, to romance the character Morrigan. Now that is not an option if you are the female version. But the significant part about that is that at the very end of the game, now again, if you don't want the spoiler for the very end of the game, I'm surprised you're even watching at this point, because like we've been going over spoilers the entire series. But at the very end of the game, you find out that the Grey Warden who kills the Archdemon is killed in the process, regardless of how careful they are. However, Morrigan, because of her mother Flemeth, has a ritual that can save the Warden's life. Now, the ritual involves her having sex with either the human Warden main character. So if you are male as a Warden, you'll be able to do that with her, and this includes for the human male. So, but it's just male in general. And the significant part about that is the ritual will spawn a son. So like Morrigan becomes pregnant because of that, and after the battle she leaves. Now in the DLC, one of the DLC is your Warden chasing Morrigan down and trying to find her. Because she's been gone for a while. It's assumed that it's been like months since the Archdemon died, at this point, perhaps even longer, depending on what else you've done with your character before getting to that DLC. But you essentially meet new characters and you go and find Morrigan. And that DLC is absolutely wonderful, but so I'm not going to spoil anything about that DLC. But the point is that you literally have a son with Morrigan as the Warden, and you have the option. There's certain options in that DLC. If you're the male Warden, in any male Warden, so like dwarf, elf, doesn't matter what class, any of the male Wardens have this option to have a child with Morrigan. Now if you're the female, Morrigan still can have a child with one of the Grey Wardens. It just will either be Alistair or Terran Loghain, if you end up converting Loghain to be a Grey Warden at the end of the game. So yeah, that's just an interesting difference between the male and female versions of characters in this game. The male version is able to have a child with Morrigan. So yeah, I thought I'd touch on that. And I already talked about re-encountering Hao and how satisfactory killing him is going to be. So yeah, that pretty much covers the human origin story. It's pretty great. It's my least favorite of all of them. I don't like it. compared to any of the other origin stories. But with that being said, I do enjoy all of the origins, and I enjoy the differences and nuances that the game allows by playing different characters. And with the human origin in particular, the human noble, it's interesting that whether you are the female or the male, you can actually become royalty at the end of the game. Now you have to play your cards right and basically play the end of the game to perfection to be able to achieve that. But it is possible, and it is possible to do it without either Logain or Alistair dying. There are the options of one of them dying in the process of you taking the throne, though. There's also the option that Honora can be banished and all that fun stuff. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. So if you want your character to end up being the King of Ferelden or the Queen of Ferelden, then playing a human noble is of great interest to you. In fact, it's basically essential to you, because it's not possible to become king or queen with any other race, because they don't have the standing that the Kuzland family does in Ferelden. And also the fact that they're not human makes them irrelevant. Or if you're the mage, you're not considered relevant because, well, first off, you're a mage, and the Chantry looks down on that. But also, it's not necessarily under the assumption that you're from the Kuzland family if you're the human mage. It's just that you're a human mage, so we don't necessarily know who your family was. And with that, I'll see you all next time. Thanks for watching. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and leave any feedback that you might have for my videos and my video making process. Anything that you'd like to see change, anything that you liked in particular, I'd be happy to read it all. And see you next time. Goodbye.